Hi everyone and welcome to this month's tutorial. We're going to go to the beach this time. We have a cute little mermaid we're going to use in a deco mesh wreath. I wanted to just show you basically what we're going to do as far as cutting the deco mesh and then putting it into the work wreath frame. I'm going to do this off camera, but I'm going to tell you what measurements you're going to be doing because this is very repetitive and I don't want you to have to sit here and watch me do this 18 times. But anyway, you're going to cut your mesh 20 inches and you're going to get 18 cuts. That's how many ties are in your work wreath form. So I'm going to go off camera, do this part of it, put it in the wreath base, and I will show you maybe the last one how we're doing the curl, but it's very basic. You've done it probably many times. But if you're new to wreath making and this is your first time to do it, you're going to cut your lengths 20 inches and then you can either cut it with a rotary cutter or with a burner, whatever your preference is. But I'm going to go ahead and get this part of it done and then we'll come back and get started on the rest of the design. Okay, here we are. I've got all these pieces cut. You're going to fold it under just a little bit on the edge to get it started and then just gather it all the way down the middle, and then when you get to the end, leave it tucked under just a little bit there at the end so that it hides the raw edge, and then you have this pretty ruffle and it just goes into your ties. Doesn't matter if you start on the top or the bottom row, just start filling your work wreath frame and fluff these out as you go. And that's all there is to that. I'm going to fill the rest of this up and then we'll be back to complete the next step. Okay, we've gotten to the step where all of the ruffles have been put in, and now we're going to do some ribbon tails, but these are a little bit different. There are loops and tails. Let me show you how I did this one right here, and then we'll just fill up the rest of the wreath with that same technique over and over again. And I'm just clipping off some of those little loose ties. So what we're going to do is take our 2.5 inch ribbon. I'm just going to trim this in, chevron it. So it's going to be a 12-inch length. You can cut them all at once or one at a time, however you choose to do it. I'm just showing you the measurement. So it's a 12-inch piece of the 2.5 inch ribbon. Chevron the end. And then we're going to fold that in half and then crimp it down the middle. Okay. Now you can either put that in a holder or wait to do it all at once. It's just up to you. I'm just going to clip it for now so that it's out of the way. Then we're going to take our 1.5 inch and we're going to make a bow. This is just a small bow. It has a 4-inch tail. I'm using the Pro Bow 4-in-1, a 4-inch tail. Okay, I'm going to crimp it, twist. It has a 4-inch loop right here. And then twist. Another 4-inch loop. And then there's our cute little 4-inch bow. Okay, so just cut that off there. And then what will happen is this is going to go on top of our tail here. We'll trim those ends up when we get it in place. The idea is that you have tails across from tails and loops across from loops. on this particular ribbon. So we're going to go to our next tie over, put that in, and then just twist it. So when you do the placement of these, your loops are going to be across from each other, right here, and then your tails are going to be across from each other. So just move those around until you get it in the right place. And then we're going to trim this tail up. Same thing over here. So we have tails across from tails and loops across from loops. If your loop is a little bit bigger on one side, just pull on it and it'll adjust that for you. So this is just a little bit of a different way to do the tails. We're just putting a bow in on each one of these, and I think it's going to turn out really cute. So let me do this step and then we'll be back. Okay, after doing a few of these, I've discovered that if you go ahead and take your length of 12-inch ribbon and just go ahead and chevron those ends. Hang on, I'm getting it backwards. Okay, you've got your middle. Go ahead and crimp it. Put it in, whether you're using an easy bow maker or whatever you're using. Go ahead and put it in there. Now we're going to make our little bow with a 4-inch tail. Crimp it, twist, put it in a 4-inch loop, which is right here. Pinch and twist, 4-inch loop, and then go ahead and trim this off. Now you've got it all put together, and you can just push it into your twist tie here. And then you just have to do one chevron on this end. And your loops are going to go across from the loops. The tails across from the tails. And that's an easy way to get that done and all put together. So I'm going to finish the rest and then we'll be back. Okay, on the back row around your wreath frame, we're only going to do tails. So we can conserve some ribbon because the loops are going to take up a little bit more around the inner circle, but this will still leave some contrast too on the outer ring. So we're going to do 10 sets of this and put it on our outer ring. So let's get this in one of the outer rings. Now you can do this on all the ties. Again, personal preference, whatever you want to do. But I'm going to go ahead and just have a little difference on the inner ring, and then we can do these on the outer ring. So we'll be back. I'm going to fill up the outer ring with just tails. Okay, look what we've got so far. Now I know why I don't do a lot of tails, because it did take quite a bit of time to go through all of these ties, 18 ties, but it's worth the effort because it turned out so cute. And I just love how it's turning out so far. So here is our little mermaid. She's going to go right in the middle. But I think what I want to do is kind of give her a little something something. So I'm just going to take the same ribbon, the plaid that we used on the wreath itself. And I'm just going to make a little bow to put in her hair, because why not? I've got just enough ribbon left over to make that happen. So here is just a little hand bow to use on her hair. I'm just going to take some floral wire and go around that. So just a little hand bow. Grab some wire. And we're just going to glue this onto her head. But I need to wire the bow itself. So, and this could be an optional add-on if you wanted to. You don't have to do this step. But I think it's going to make it so fancy. Alright, let me cut that off. Okay, let's give this mermaid a little bit of flair by adding a bow here. I'm just going to take some glue. And add it to our bow. Put it right up here in her hat or hair. I guess it's her hair. Just kind of press down on it till it cools off. Okay, now I'm going to take a really pretty jewel and just put that in the middle of my bow and just kind of give it some sparkle. This is all optional. You don't have to do this step. I think sometimes these little added touches make a difference. Okay, look how fancy she looks. Super fancy. Let me trim up this edge here. This Dupioni silk ribbon is a little stringy at times, so you have to be very exact in your cuts. Otherwise, it might look a little ragged. Use some really sharp scissors. Okay. Okay, she's ready to put on the wreath. I'm going to just insert her into the center. There's a place on the back. It's got a little loop. And I'm going to put this right in the very center of our wreath base. And I'm just grabbing one of the twist ties there in the back to tie her on. And she looks so happy to be up there. You can also come down here on the bottom and poke in some wire and wire her to the base of the wreath, and that'll keep it from flopping around on you, but it's not really going to go anywhere, so I'm just going to leave it like that for now. Now let's add some greenery and a few sparkly picks. These are just some blue flowers with some greenery. I'm going to break them up. I've got 2 stems of this. We're going to use these to kind of add some texture to our wreath. Now let me show you what they look like. So here is our blue pieces. It's got some eucalyptus, some little tiny petite blue flowers. And I'm just breaking these up. Now, most likely I'm going to put a pick on the end of these. If you don't have a pick machine, that's okay. You can insert those with some floral tape and a stick if you want. But I kind of like to go ahead and put a pick on the end for my personal use. But if you don't have a pick machine, that's no worries. Let's go ahead and get these picked right now before I start putting things in. I'm going to try to keep them all together. They come apart sometimes when you rip up the stems, but I'll try to keep them up as whole as I can. Now you could totally stop your design here. You wouldn't have to put in all these floral pieces. I just love the texture of them. And it adds more interest to me instead of just ribbon tails and bows. But that's just up to you. Remember, the more you put in it, the more expensive it will be for your customer. So if you're trying to keep your price point down, then you would want to stop at this point before adding anything else. Okay, so there's all of our blue ready to go. And then I've got these wonderful glitter picks that I want to add in. I've got 3 of each color, pink and blue. And same thing I'm going to do with these is tear them apart and then pick them in the pick machine. Okay, so let's start getting these prepared. It looks like each one's going to have 3 cuts for us. Save these sticks, you know they're really great to use on other things. I did clean out all my sticks a couple of weeks ago and got rid of some sticks that I didn't think I was going to use, because I'm always adding to the stash of sticks. And you may see me fast forward past this so we can get all these picked. You don't have to watch me pick each one. I know your time is valuable and we want to get to the important part of it. So we'll be right back after I pick all these. Okay, we're ready to start putting in our florals. There are 8 pieces of this, and as it turned out, 8 pieces of this, and then there are 18 pieces between the 2 colors of this, which is perfect. So we have 18 ties. I did not plan that. That's just A stroke of luck. So let's get this glued in and space it out a little bit. I'm going to move my glue pot a little bit closer. So these, I only have 8, so I'm just going to kind of spread them around in between. And when I use a pick on a deco mesh wreath, I like to go back to the back side before this ships, and even after I get finished with it, and push all these picks in so they don't get anybody injured. So on the back, I'm going to go back and make sure I've got all of these turned under so they don't hurt anybody. So just take your needle nose and just crimp them under, okay? Now these are going to spread open pretty big, so we're just going to kind of space them around. Let them kind of do their thing. And if any of the pieces are too long, just bend them back on themselves so you get a little bit of a shorter piece. Like so. Okay, let's move on to the next one. I'm going to put this one on the other side. Actually, I'm going to put this one up high. Now, one reason I love this wreath stand is you can move these on different pegs. And for me being so short, this is perfect because I get to pull it down a little bit lower. I can go back there and grab that pick and bend it under. Okay, so now I'm going to put one over there on that side. And I'm pushing this into the deco mesh right at the tie, where the tie is. And then come in here to the back and just tucking that in around the frame. Okay. Now I can put it back up a little higher. This texture makes me so happy. Strings don't make me happy, the texture does. So let me tuck this one in. Ooh, this is so cute. For summer, oh my goodness. Who would not love to have this on their door for summer? So I'm going to come across and do the same thing right here on this side. Once we're all done with this part, we can go back and kind of straighten out our ribbons because we've really crumpled those. I'll add this piece right here. Now, just because I have 2 more pieces doesn't mean I have to use them, but they're there if I need them. I've pretty well spread this out evenly. Okay, how's that looking? So cute. So I have 2 pieces. Don't have to use them. I'm going to put them aside because it's got the volume of that flower that I want anyway. All right, let me trim up some of this deco mesh. I've been messing with it, so it's kind of going crazy. All right, let's start adding in this glitter pick. And you can pretty much gauge every tie will get one. Okay, every single tie will get one because I've got 18 pieces. But I'm going to alternate colors, you see. So here's another one. We're just going to move ourselves around. Pink, blue, at each tie. There's 18 ties and there's 18 pieces of this. I'm going to go ahead and turn that pick up on itself so it doesn't cut anything. Yeah, the final thing to do is to go back and kind of straighten up your ribbons because they've been messed with, obviously. And to put these in, I'm going behind the tie. And you see I've got, here is the pick right here. So I'm going to take my needle nose. Where is it? Oh, there it is. And crimp it around. If you turn it around like that, then you won't scratch the door, you won't cut yourself. Okay, pink was last. Add blue. Now I have cut myself on these picks many times trying to do it by hand. I don't recommend it because nothing's worse than a cut from a pick. They hurt like the devil and bleed. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're going to move on around. Pink, blue, pink, blue. And this is easy to do because every single tie, as far as spacing, gets one of these. Oh, that makes it so fun. Blue, pink, blue, pink, blue. Alright, I'm going to fast forward this and let y'all catch up with me on the other side. All I'm going to be doing is adding a stem of this, every other one a color, different color, until we get all of them in. Okay? Here she is. From this point, after getting all those little glitters picks in, go back and just straighten up your ribbons a little better. I know I've smashed a lot of them putting those in. Check and just make sure everything is fluffed out. But I am in love with this design. I did ribbon tails and it didn't kill me. So I guess there's hope for me after all. Just go back and kind of fluff it out, straighten it up before you photograph it and sell it or ship it. And you have got yourself a mermaid beauty. Okay, thanks so much for being here with me, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Until next time, bye-bye.